Yo, what is good, YouTube? So today I'm going to talk about the somewhat unique vocal production behind this remix that I did for the Aristotle Jones song, Caligula. So the main thing that is important to know about this is that I actually tracked these vocals because Aristotle Jones is actually one of my clients who I worked with, who actually I got my start engineering for. But I tracked these vocals in my studio back when I had a studio in Brockton, and that was 2019, I guess late 2019 or something like that. So I was actually in the studio when these vocals were actually being tracked because I was the engineer and I was the person helping produce that whole process. So it's very convenient for me being the person who tracked everything and mixed everything to then go and take all that over into my remix session, which is kind of what enabled me to be so flexible with the vocals because I could really make sure that the bounces were good and that I was able to separate every little thing and do what I wanted to it. So the biggest thing here, actually, let me just play the song just so you can kind of hear it a little bit before we get into it.
They ain't want no trouble, so I gotta turn the bass up. Got love for my day ones. Stay stunning every day till the pay comes. Got love for my day ones. Stay stunning every day till the pay comes. Got love for my day ones. Stay stunning every day till the pay comes. Got a problem, then you better fucking say something. They ain't know the lane that I came from.
So I creep down on the block, no sleep. Ain't nobody fucking with me. See the palms on my beach. Everybody fall like leaves. Ain't nobody call the police. I just wanna find peace. I don't really care how I do it. I just wanna take laps and I backed up. Here we go. Second guessing, this is clueless. Never mess with a Judas.
You don't wanna fall foolish, dealing with their false promises. Kid is philosophical, that's why my name's synonymous. You could catch me tripping balls in the garden, bitch. Always known to finish off opponents when they started shit. Hard as this.
Yeah, so that pretty much just gives you an idea of how the song goes. So the biggest thing is that the original, if you go and listen to the original, is actually slower and it is a way different vibe. The vibe is not this at all. I turned it into a trap EDM banger type thing. With him, it was an Indian influenced hip hop joint. So it was way different. The chorus is the biggest part that's the most different, but also aside from that, the tempo is just sped up. So this is 100 BPM, and then the other one was I think 93 BPM or something like that. So basically I had to go in and really just time stretch. Actually, this was a big pain in the ass when I had to go in and actually time stretch everything to make it exactly on the grid. And I did it. If I did it again, I probably would be better, and I probably would have figured out a better way to do it. But I basically just time stretched it vocal per vocal and just made sure that it time stretched accurately and fit onto the 100 BPM grid as opposed to the 93. And so the biggest thing with his vocals, which is kind of unique to what he does, is that he records for his raps. He'll record a main rap, and then I'll go and comp that in the studio after he records it. Now I'll go through. He'll do 3 or 4 takes through, and then I'll go in and comp it, get the best takes of everything, and then he'll do a high kind of it's a rap harmony type thing, and then a low. And then what I'll do after as a producer, as a vocal producer, is I'll go in and I'll chop out the parts that I think should be emphasized, and I emphasize those, and I use Revoice Pro to kind of make it really just fit perfectly, and then I pan it left and right. So when you listen to this section, for example, you'll hear the vocals coming in and out on the left and the right.
Bitch, you would've spit some shit you ain't heard before. Need a pound of the loaf, trying to count me some bread. Dealing under the counter, but steady over their heads. They supposed to be threats.
You see how I'm emphasizing certain words, but he actually recorded it the whole way through, and then I went in and was all right, let's just emphasize certain words and really make it pop. And that's a big part of this vocal sound, is that these harmonies are just these rap harmonies are just so great and so on point. So that was a big part of it, a big part of the preemptive, before I even got to the remix. This already was a banger as far as the vocal production and the performance. Obviously he killed it. And then I got the ad-libs here, kind of biggest thing with the ad-libs, right, is to pan them left and right. If you can kind of see here, I just merciless with the panning of the ad-libs.
Got love for my day ones. Stay stunning every day till the pay comes.
So you got the over on this side, and then the yeah over on this side, and that's just the whole song. I just pan the ad-libs. I'm just nope, no boring shit here, man. Just that's the biggest thing I do as a hip hop vocal producer, is just pan the ad-libs. They'll do one ad-lib take, and then if it's on the one side the whole time, it's kind of just I don't know, it doesn't sound right to me. So yeah, and then he had a couple that were some just effects that I threw on prior. I'm pretty sure that was some sort of a chorus effect or something like that. On top of that, we got this part, which was really cool. I basically used Melodyne to
Got love for my day ones. Stay stunning every day till the pay comes.
That was basically just like Melodyne. I like Melodyne to the fuck out of his voice there. Hold on. Let me see if I could just bypass that real quick. I can't. Yes, I can.
Got love for my day ones. Stay stunning every day till the pay comes.
Yeah, so I like auto-tuned it and kind of like wrote in a melody that wasn't actually there. So I don't know. I like to get fancy with Melodyne when I'm in like production mode, and I really think that I can, get away with getting fancy with this. So that's kind of what I did there. Is I used Melodyne to like actually like move the notes up and down, and I do that much more extremely in the chorus, which I'll show you. And the other thing that I did was this sort of like I so got this from like that Skrillex ASAP Rocky song, but check it out.
Stay stunning every day till the pay comes. Got love for my day ones. Stay stunning every day till the pay comes.
That's like that like Wild for the Night song.
Got love for my day ones. Stay stunning every day till the pay comes.
Sounds a little mangled. What that is basically is just like auto-tune plus like Melodyne. I Melodyned it. So the reason why I like Melodyne is that I can actually like, I'm not going to go into the Melodyne and actually like mess with the notes because this is Melodyne 4 and I now have Melodyne 5. And if I do that, something bad is gonna happen, or it's just not gonna work. So, but like basically the reason why I like to use Melodyne to like move notes around is because you can actually affect the formant more easily and more flexibly. So when I move things down, sometimes the formant will make it sound mangled. So moving the formant up just a tiny bit can actually like make it sound a little bit more natural. And in Melodyne, you can actually adjust the formant of each note individually. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, that plus a little bit of auto-tune is literally.
Got love for my day ones. Stay stunning every day.
Yeah, it's still pretty tuned even without the auto tune. Which I think I must have just like flattened it in Melodyne. Let me just see if I could just show you. Yeah, see, it's like not gonna show up because like. Oh wait. Yeah. Yeah, you could see it's just like ridiculously kind of flattened more or less. That's just Melodyne, and then I obviously like added a ton of effects. I have like a bus here. And the bus has like a ridiculous amount of compression and like its own reverb. Yeah, so those are those like crazy vocals. And then at the beginning, obviously, like I filtered them with like a telephone vocal to kind of just like. Oh, I printed it. Yeah, I printed it just kind of like make it easier and not have to have all those effects going and just to have like a little telephone filter on it. So yeah. That's pretty much a breakdown of like what makes up those main vocals, and then in the hook. So what I did here, if you listen to the original song, it's not at all like this. It's like super. It's like it's I think it's in an Indian sort of like styled key, or maybe I'm just being like ignorant and it's just the harmonic minor because that's probably what it is. That's basically like kind of how I pictured it at least. And then so right, if I go into the Melodyne for that and I bypass that, you'll hear that it was in a different key, right? My song is in C and this song was in like a different key altogether, and I kind of had to like shape the chorus melody to make it something that made sense. Like if you listen to so here's the chorus. So like if I bypass Melodyne, this is going to sound god-awful. Get ready. Oh, yeah. That's not it. So, but that's Mari's voice, Mari Aoki, who featured on this song. She's a great singer, but she doesn't sound like a half chipmunk, you know what I mean? Naturally. And it's an interesting thing about kind of what I did here is that like, I took her voice and pitched it up three like semitones, and the reason why it sounds like halfway decent and not completely mangled is because I used Melodyne and was able to use that formant tool to like adjust the formants to I really wish I had like the right version of Melodyne so I could kind of go in and show you, but if you have Melodyne and you play with the formant, if you move something up 3 semitones entirely, it's not going to sound like that person's voice, and it's not going to sound that great either. I haven't played with plugins like Little Altar Boy, but I'm sure that you could probably do something similar with this. If you move that up a few semitones and then bring the formant like down a little bit so that it's kind of where it was originally as far as like the actual note, then it will sound like a little bit more natural. So that's part of why this worked so well, is because I actually I kept most of the notes the same. Some of the notes I changed entirely. The like the ain't nobody call the police. That wasn't even close. Like the melody was like ain't nobody call the police. Like it wasn't that at all. Like it didn't have that little shift up into that higher note. I actually had to like finesse the melody and kind of like change it and really just kind of move those notes around to create a new melody around, you know, that fit the song better and fit the chord progression. I put an entirely new chord progression, put these vocals, and I had to like really just do a little bit of like hybrid production, hybrid like songwriting and top lining to really just make it fit. So I'm happy with how it turned out. And yeah, that's the name of the game with remixing. You just, you know, anything goes, change the top line, fuck it. Yeah, so that was basically like, you know, how those vocals went. And I wrote an entire harmony using Melodize. Not even to like flex like I'm so fucking cool, like I did all this shit, but like I wrote an entire harmony that was like basically let me see if I can solo it.
I don't really care how I do it, I just wanna take laps in a black.
Oh yeah, hook harmony, there it is.
Blacked out, beautiful. Second,
Hold on, wait.
or creep down on the block, no sleep, and I'll like fucking with me, see the palms and the beats.
Sounds horrible by itself. You hear that? Your harmonies can sound god awful and no one will tell. And I know we'll be able to tell because of the fact that like, you know, they're in the background and they're harmonizing, and if they are somewhat in the ballpark of the thing that the main vocal is saying, it's kind of hard to tell, you know. So like listen to them together. Hold on.
Second guessing, this is clueless. Never mess with a Judas.
It kind of just adds a little bit of texture. Hold on, wait.
Or creep down on the block, no sleep, and nobody fucking with me. See the palms on the beach.
Kind of just adds a little bit of texture to it, so that's nice. And then I did the same thing that I did to Mari's to Aristotle Jones's, and I kind of just like.
Or creep down on the block, no sleep, and nobody fucking with me. See the palms on the beach.
And then they're spread out like left and right because he had a couple lows, I think, and so I was able to use the lows and do the same thing I did, match the melody and everything. Actually.
Everybody fall like leaves, and nobody call the police.
Yeah, I just like I like rewrote the melody essentially, and I like kind of like took his vocals, and his are obviously like pitched up and like chipmunked too a little bit. So that is a creative way to use pitch correction, you know, to just like rewrite melodies basically entirely in remix mode. So yeah, that's the vocals with her like outro vox. I basically just like find it real quick. Yeah, because there's a whole outro section where it's just like it's riffing, right? It's just riffing, but because of the fact that I kind of like I just moved it into the right key, right? And that's pretty much all I did. So yeah, those are the vocals. As far as like, you know, the arrangement and the production of the vocals, the last thing that I think would make sense, I'm not going to talk about the mix too much because I'm going to do a whole other video on just the mix, but one thing that I think is relevant is the amount of like casual delay and fast delay that I add here. I'm huge on like, you know, automating effects and doing this like fancy, you know, stuff that I do that kind of adds more movement to the vocal effects as a whole. So like one thing that I do specifically is I automate a fast delay on and off in certain sections. Like, let me just see if I can find I'm not prepared right now. Let me see if I can. Oh yeah, okay. So we got that automation happening, and then I think I had another automation somewhere, but all you need to know is probably going to be way easier for me to just show the mix window and like show you what I mean. The blood fuck on my opticals, knock them over like dominoes. Yeah. Man, I feel so phenomenal. And yeah. So I knew I did. So I basically automated a fast delay on, and that kind of adds that like trippiness to it. It's just there's just a fast delay, and I turn it on in the section where it makes sense to turn it on. So it's like. The blood fuck on my opticals, knock them over like dominoes. Man, I feel so phenomenal. And our sisters is nominal, so we kind of unstoppable by the blow like Osama. Those other fuckers it does. Feeling just like a crew cut, totally buzzed. You ain't known to me, cuz. So that plus the ad-libs plus the doubled sort of like panned. You got a high vocal harmony over here and a low vocal harmony over here. You know, and then you got the ad-libs on both sides, and then you got your main vocal. And then you got the beat, obviously, and then you have that extra layer of delay. Just makes the vocal arrangement so rich, and that is kind of what I was going for here. Is just like making this vocal arrangement as like rich as possible, and that's yeah. So that's kind of how I achieved this like rich kind of vocal arrangement. And it was really great that I had a hand in producing this song as well. Like I mixed the original and recorded the original and basically like produced. I didn't produce the track obviously, but I like produced the vocals somewhat because I picked what the ins and outs were going to be and tuned everything and, made it all clean. So that was a great advantage because I was able to have like full control over these vocals from start to finish. And, the final result is a remix that sounds kind of not at all like the original if you really think about it, because if you go listen to the original and then you listen to this, you're just like two completely different neighborhoods, but it worked really well because of the fact that I was able to like have control over everything and like finesse everything the way I wanted to and kind of like mix things in a similar way because I did the delay thing with the original as well. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this kind of gave you some ideas as to like how you can kind of like get spicy with your vocal arrangement stuff. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you would have liked to see more of, really anything, because this channel is so new and I'm really just trying to like break down my productions, and my goal is to like have these be valuable for people. These are not for me. These are for people that are trying to learn what goes into like producing and how to like self-produce, because that's kind of what I do is I just like self-produce all my music through like having learned this stuff. So I'm really just trying to add as much value as I can. So just let me know, just let me know. Just comment, subscribe, and I love you. Peace.